Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another day of lockdown lessons. We are continuing with the theme of sight, vision, and our eyes this week. Today's lesson is going to be talking about and experiencing how our eyes process color. And obviously that's directly related to how our eyes process light. So we're going to be doing a little bit of movement to begin with. And then we'll go on to kind of talking about the sort of the restorational aspect of our eyes and how, and it's important for our eyes to rest in order for our full color representation to be available to us. So hopefully that's an interesting subject. I think it is quite an interesting subject. I think also at the moment, because we're spending so much time on screens, and looking at our computers and maybe in artificial light, it's really a good practice to rest your eyes. So that's my plan for today's lesson. I think everything's good on the stream. I forgot to do one thing, but that's okay. So good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you had a nice evening. I'm not sure if it's morning where you are. If you want to drop in the comments where you're watching in from today, say hi. And yeah, so today, the lesson we did yesterday was more looking at a specific aspect of movement and how our eyes track movement. I think that that's a massive subject and probably worth exploring in a lot more detail. But as these are just 20-minute lessons, I don't really have time to cover a lot in terms of that aspect. I think I could probably spend a whole week just looking at the movement of the eyes. But I want to cover a couple of different things. So today is really going to be to do with the way that the eyes process light and their ability to perceive color. So the first thing I want you to do is obviously notice the snow behind me. So in sunny England, we have a bit of snow, and it's kind of relevant because there is such a thing as snow blindness. So if people are out in the snow for too long, because of the high levels of reflective light they receive in their eyes, they can actually go temporarily colorblind. And it takes a certain amount of time for their eyes to recover after that experience, roughly around 40 minutes, apparently. So hopefully what that shows you is that our eyes are sensitive and kind of changeable. The state or the ability of our eyes to perceive color is changeable. So what I'd like you to do just initially is just to close your eyes and take a moment just to rest your eyes, to rest in sitting, just to kind of come to that experience, arrive in the lesson. Maybe you can notice your breathing today. How you feel as you come to kind of spend 20 minutes just sort of concentrating on your own state. Do you feel a little active? Do you feel kind of ready? And what I'd like you to do is then open your eyes and just look around the room. Look around the room and notice all the various colors, the objects of that have color in the room. So I've got a picture of Yoda, some sweet potatoes, some yoga mats, a blanket, a cushion, and all of those, and a plant beside me, all of those have color. If I was staring at bright light for a really long time, what would happen is, because my eyes were working very hard, some of the color receptors, they're called cones, in the back of the eye, the retina, would actually diminish, like that they would use up the pigment that's available to them, and that their ability to perceive color would diminish. However, it's not the end of the world because it's quite easy for them to recover. Okay. So just close your eyes again, and just think about, what the quality of the colors you saw were. And then we're just going to kind of transition off into a movement exercise. And then we're going to come back to that aspect of color perception right at the end of the lesson. So yeah, what I'd like you to do is just notice, you can see me. So if you open your eyes, you can see how many times I'm blinking as I'm talking to you. It's less obvious. I can see it in myself, but I can't necessarily feel it every time I'm blinking. It's like, we do it so subconsciously. So what I want to do is a kind of process of making your blinking a little more conscious. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is very slowly begin to blink, very slowly. So it's like you're bringing your eyes down, and this is tricky. This is difficult. So you're bringing your eyes down and you're closing out the light, just to the point where there's a slither of light available, and then closing your eyelids and then open them slowly. As you do this movement, we'll do this for a while, so it gives you time to sort of take it in. As you do this movement and you slowly close your eyelids over your eyes, just notice that there's a sensation. The eyelids have a sensation, or the ability to perceive sensation, and they can feel as they're moving over the top of the eye. So you might feel that from the eye's perspective. You might feel the sensation of the eyelid coming over the eye, or you might feel in some way the eyelid sensation of the eyelid underneath the eye, underneath the eyelid. So just try it a few times. See if you can really slow down your blinking process. Is that something that's possible for you to do? It's such a quick mechanism, and we do it so subconsciously. Making it conscious is a bit strange. So do it a few more times, and then what we'll do is we'll move over and just do one eye. See if you can, you're in your own space, there's no one looking at you, doesn't matter how strange you look, but you're just slowly closing your eyelids, trying to find a kind of quality of movement of your eyelids that's slow, constant, and they come to close and then they begin to open again. Good. If you think about the mechanism of our eyes, or even some of the games that we play, sometimes we play a game with each other where it's like who can stare at each other the longest, or who can stare at something the longest. And in some way it gets tiring. Our eyes get tired of the activity, or we can't bear it any longer, and we need to look away, or we need to blink. So the blinking mechanism is kind of a little recovery in itself. It's allowing the eyes to shut out light for a moment, so that the eyes can actually recover some of the pigment that's available to them, and then they open again to receive more light. So the next time you blink, the next time you close your eyelids, see if you can just leave your eyes closed for a moment. Leave your eyes closed. And just notice any color perception you have with your eyes closed. So almost like your eyes are looking at the back of the eyelid, but like, what's the activity that you see on the back of the eyelid? Maybe Wendy, I didn't say good morning. Apologies. Good morning. So as you sit there and you kind of, your eyes are closed, you're sitting there and you're breathing. As you close your eyes and you look against the back of the eyelid, what is the kind of activity? Do you see a variety of colors? Do you see a kind of moving image? Is there kind of like a sense of activity there? And what that is the optical nerve kind of like sending the impulses back. It's the activity of the optical nerve. Our sight is very interesting. This week I've kind of been sort of digging. I'm a little geeky sometimes. I'm digging into the biology around the eyes. It's very interesting what they do. We take light from the outside world and we make it in our brains into an image. So our brains don't actually perceive light, our eyes do. So we take the light that our eyes receive, send a signal to our brain, and our brain then makes sense of what we're seeing. And as I said yesterday, this is how like some visual illusions can be created, because we can play sort of visual tricks on the brain. Another example of that is if you spin round a lot of times and then you stop, your vision is still spinning. So your brain is not quite understanding the fact that you've stopped yet. Good. All right. So again, go back to blinking, but just blink with your right eye. See if you can kind of be specific that you're opening your right eyelid and then closing your right eyelid. Take it very slowly. See if you can kind of get that same quality of movement that you were getting, where it's like opening, 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 and then slowly closing the light out as you blink with your right eye. And each time you open your eye, your eye, you can see the color in the room, but just with your right eye. Notice the color, kind of maybe pick out a couple of objects, close, and begin to then close the eyelid again. So every time you're opening the eye, it's like you're perceiving the colors around you, and then you're closing the eye, letting the eyelid come to rest, or letting the eye come to rest. Good. Just do it a couple more times with the right eyelid. And maybe as you open your eye, as you open the right eye, you can not just perceive color, but you can notice some of the objects in the room. Notice which parts of the objects are blurry, which parts of the image are sharp in front of you. And then just go back to closing the eye again, sort of like slowly shut out the light, almost like you're telling the eye it's time to go to sleep. You know, the sleep recommendation is that you don't look at any electronic light, I think maybe 40 minutes before you go to bed, just so it doesn't send stimulation to the brain. So you think as you're closing your eyes, it's almost like you're stopping some of the incoming stimulation you're receiving. Good. Take a rest with your right eyelid. That sounds strange. Take a rest with your right eyelid. Have both eyes shut. Maybe just come back to your breathing. Just sense your breathing. Feel how you're sitting on the chair. And maybe you can again notice the activity levels, or the sort of the noise, the visual noise that you're seeing against the back of your eyelids. And is it different from the right eye to the left eye? Could you sense any difference as you close your eyes and you look at the back of the right eyelid and you look at the back of the left eyelid after just opening and closing the right eye a few times? Is the sense of visual noise different on one eye versus the other? Good. And then slowly transition from there into beginning to slowly open your left eyelid. Slowly open your left eyelid. And again, as you open your eye, you obviously are kind of brought back into the world, but just with your left eye. Notice how your left eye is perceiving color in the room. If it's helpful to you, you could always cover the right eye so that that's not interfering with the process. but making sure that you're just blinking with the left eye. And as you continue to blink with your left eye, and then you go between shutting out the light and opening the eye and allowing in the light, perceiving color, and then shutting out the light again. Just notice as you're doing that, kind of like what the visual perception of your left eye feels like. How is your left eye seeing the world? What's the detail like? What's the kind of periphery like? And what colors are you able to perceive? And each time you close your eyes, maybe just take a moment, take a little pause to look at the back of the left eyelid and see kind of what the activity is. The activity changing? Is the sense of stimulation of your optical nerve changing as you close your eyes, rest, and then open your eyes a little, slowly perceive what's around you, and then come back and close them. Good. Just do it a few more times. And then when you're ready, just go back to blinking with both eyes. Go back to blinking with both eyes. And see if you can, again, just do it really slowly. Take your time to open, take your time to close. And then you can blink a few times quickly. See if you can speed up the blinking process so that you do it a few times rapidly. As if you were kind of finding something challenging to look at. So you needed to blink a lot to keep your eyes sort of lubricated. And then close both eyes and see if you can blink quickly with just your left eye. Blink quickly with just your left eye and then close your right eye. So I did that the other way around. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Close your right eye and then blink very quickly with your left eye. And just do it a few times and sort of see the mechanism of each eye. And maybe as you're blinking quickly, you can still see the world behind the quick blinks. Okay, take a little rest. Take a rest. If you want to rest with your eyes open, to have a look around your room, notice the colors in the room, or if you want to rest with your eyes closed, either is okay. Okay, and then we're going to do a tiny little challenge, and whether this is possible for you or not, I don't know. But I'd like you to open your left eye as you close your right eye. Okay, so open the left eyelid as you close the right eyelid and vice versa. So just a little movement challenge. That might feel like a pretty strange thing to do. But have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. See if it's possible, if it's not possible. Good. When you've had enough of that, take a rest. Again, you can rest with your eyes open. You could take in the room around you, sense the colors, the shapes, the definition, the kind of the periphery where there's less definition. So as I was saying earlier about kind of our color perception, is that the way that we receive the information coming towards us, the light comes through the lens of the eye, and it comes and it hits the back of the retina, which is like the back of the eye. As the light comes into the retina, we have parts of the body called cones and rods, and they're responsible for either receiving color or looking or receiving low light conditions. So the cones are working when we are taking in light from the eyes. I'm not describing this very well. I had this planned out better in my head, you know. But as our eyes are open, we receive light. It hits the back of the retina, and these little cones in the back of the retina, they are being used as we process color. And they can, each time they're used, they use some of the pigment that's within them. And that pigment can run out and it needs refreshing. So each time we blink, we in some way refresh. We close out the light for a moment, and that refreshes some of the pigment that's in these little cone structures so that we can perceive color again. However, as I said earlier, if you, for example, experience something like snow blindness, where all of your color perception is gone, it takes about 40 minutes for your eyes to fully recover. They've done studies on this, and they've also noticed that if you want your full color perception to be recovered, not from snow blindness, but just the point where color is recovered, the eyes need to be closed for 5 minutes. Okay. So what I want to do now is take 5 minutes just at the end of the lesson to keep your eyes closed. We've done some stuff with moving the eyelids. You felt your ability to kind of shut out light, perceive color. But what I want you to do now is actually just to close your eyes and keep your eyes closed for 5 minutes. All right. So on my live stream, it's 22 minutes and 30 seconds or 11:23. So, you know, you can take this at your own pace if you need to kind of do this in your own time, but like, let's try and do it together. I'm obviously going to be here and maybe suggesting some things to think about as you close your eyes. But, you know, maybe you could treat it like a meditation. But what I'd like you to do is just as you close your eyes, as you keep your eyes closed for 5 minutes, just kind of go into this sort of very easy noticing state that you're perceiving kind of the activity on the back of the eyelids. Okay. So we're going to begin now. It's 11:24 in my clock. So if you close your eyes and just notice again initially the activity on the back of the eyelids. Is there any kind of colors that you sense there? Excuse me. Is there any sort of activity or movement? And again, this is the optical nerve kind of like sort of showing the activity or the state of the neural activity within the eye. So you've got your eyes closed and you're blocking out the incoming sensory input. Okay. So there's no light coming in, or a very small amount of light coming in. There is some light that passes through the eyelids, but not very much. So you're closing out the incoming input of light. And as you have your eyes closed, maybe you can move your attention around inside yourself. You could notice your breathing. You can notice which parts of your body are moving as you breathe. Can you feel any movement in your abdomen? Can you feel any movement in your chest, in the ribs? Maybe even the shoulders. You can feel some upwards, some upwards movement in the shoulders. Good. And how does as you kind of continue to have this sort of observing quality, this sort of this state or this opportunity to kind of reduce some of the sensory input, what other noise, what other internal noise do you notice? So as you close your eyes, you're not receiving light right now. Maybe you're aware of the sounds around you. Maybe, I just had a train coming past me. So maybe you feel that in some way, as you're reducing the kind of influence of light on your body, on your nervous system, that your senses are opening up in a different way. You're perceiving more from your sense of touch, your sense of smell, from your hearing. Or your internal sense of yourself. Like how you're feeling, what's the activity of your thoughts, what's the activity of your emotion. Does this feel like an opportunity to let things settle? And I'm going to use the image of snow in that instance. That as snow falls, then, when the conditions are right, the snow will settle. And there's that sense that that's when it's really snowed, is that when snow has settled. Good. So maybe you can bring your attention back to your breathing. And you can feel as you sit there on your chair or in your space or you're lying down, how does the breath move you? Can you let the breath kind of take over the body's organization in some way? We can use our attention and make the process of breathing conscious, but often it's happening underneath our conscious control. And in some way, there's this kind of organizational principle that's happening throughout our whole system, that's happening without us being involved. We don't need to be involved, and our body organizes itself. To do with the pumping of blood around your system, to do with digestion, processing of oxygen, even the refreshing of the small cone structures in the back of your eye. All of that is happening beyond your conscious control. We don't need to be involved in it. Good. Just very gently bring your attention back to the space behind your eyes or on the back of the eyelids. So bring your attention back to your visual sense. As you bring your attention back to your visual sense, what do you notice in terms of the level of activity there now? Can you feel in some way that the activity has become quieter and quieter, and the level of noise or activity that you're seeing on the back of the eyelids has changed in some way? And we are arriving at the 5-minute mark, and this is where there is that change within the eye itself, where all those little cone structures have recovered the amount of pigment available to them, and they are ready to perceive color in its fullest sense again. So when you're ready, I'd like you to very slowly, very gently begin just to open your eyes a little, allow a little tiny bit of light in, not straight away open your eyes, full light, but open just a little, like a crack. And as you open your eyes just a little, you can still see out into the world, like your initial sense of the world. Can you just, like, even from that little slither of available sight, could you start to perceive color? And then very gently, very slowly begin to open your eyes a little more, allow a little light, a little more light into your eyes. And take the process kind of step by step, opening a little more, until you get to your eyes being fully open. And just take a moment to look around the room and to sense the colors around you. And in some way, I'm hoping that they seem more vivid to you now. Or at least like there's more differentiation, there's more distinction between one color and another. And maybe just the act of resting your eyes is giving you a different sense of the room around you, a different sense of what you're looking at, a different sense of your ability to look at objects. Or hopefully it's giving you some sense of increased color in your life, in your eyes, in your eye life. So I hope that's interesting. I think that that's a pretty cool lesson to explore. I hope that people agree. If you have any comments about the lesson, you want to ask me any questions, I'm not sure I can completely answer them if they're about biology, but I would try. So yeah, if you have any comments or questions, please put them down. If you want to rewatch the lesson at any point, you can do so via my Thoughtful Movements community group or via my YouTube channel. The links to both are in the description. If you want to share this lesson with anyone, you can go to my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/thoughtful movements. Find this video and click share on it. Another way to share it is to share via my YouTube channel. There's a link that you can just share, click from there. If you'd like to make a donation for any of the lessons that you've done that you really enjoyed, or if they're making a difference to you in some way, then my PayPal link is in the description as well. If you want to contact me individually about sessions, I do some one-to-one sessions with people. If you're interested, you can contact me via Facebook Messenger or via email, which is joe@thoughtfulmovements.co.uk. That's a lot of information to give you after you've just been very quiet. So apologies for that. But just lastly to say, if you feel that your eyes are tired throughout the day, or you feel like your eyes have done a lot of work, you can always just take that 5 minutes where you just close your eyes and you move your attention around in yourself. And you kind of come back to this sort of the ability of the eyes to restore, to refresh their ability to perceive light and color. And maybe it's a nice little kind of, 5 minutes isn't a lot of time to take for ourselves, but maybe we can add that into our day in some way. So great. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning, UK time. The lesson tomorrow I have planned, I can't remember what it was. Bear with me, I'll tell you. I think it was depth. Yeah. So we're going to be doing a lesson on depth perception, which basically is another very complicated visual subject that I need to do some research around. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 11. All right. Take care. Bye.